Hi, it's Corinne from my chemical free house. I'm just going to be going over a few new samples of flooring. Some I've seen before and some are new to me. I think these are all on the website already except for this one, but I wanted to compare them all, having them all in the same place. I also have some new vinyl. I'm going to separate that out as a different video. So starting with Marmoleum Click, and I've talked about the Marmoleum Sheet more because I like the sheet, which is more or less just the top part, and it does have a little bit of a jute backing on it, but it's more just that top part, which is the Marmoleum, made from linseed. And this I've talked about before. The linseed smell was so much less strong than I expected, and especially when I did the comparison of all the linseed oil sealers for wood. This is really mild, although people are reporting that even though after, I don't know, a week or so or a month, it really does seem to me to be quite off-gas, that people are saying that when it's in their homes and you've got, when it's hot and humid, that smell keeps coming out. And from my research on linseed, I see that it never, almost never, basically decades, doesn't totally cure. So I'd say if after a couple weeks you then put it somewhere warm. Here's my temperature and humidity right now. It's really warm, that's Celsius, and it's quite dry, but it's quite warm in here. So you could put this somewhere warm and humid to test it after that period of initial off-gassing, and then see if that smell comes out too much for you and if it bothers you, because you might not get away from that odor of the linseed. But the Click has more off-gassing because it does have the HDF, and I talked about the HDF more in the video on laminate, and it has a cork. The cork has the classic cork smell, which I believe is a polyurethane glue. It's quite a strong off-gassing to me. Cork is my least favorite of all the so-called green flooring. And the HDF I don't find very bad at all. I mean, it's not made with formaldehyde anymore. I talked about that in the laminate one. It's often, some of them are just pressed together with paraffin and actually some linseed. It could have other glues as well. And at Green Design Center, where I got the samples from, did say that he thinks it could be another glue like MDI that they're using, which is a classic, one of the main wood glues for construction products. This is their, what's it called? Ecofusion bamboo. So this is really interesting because so I haven't seen this one before. I do have bamboo listed on the site, and generally I put it on the site as something I don't really like for a number of reasons. One is the fact that there's a lot of glue here, all these little pieces of bamboo. Obviously bamboo comes in, it's a grass, it comes in strands, has to be glued together, and then you need a coating on the top. But usually it's not all the way, it's not solid in this sense. The older bamboos were more of a engineered product. So this is an improvement, how solid it is. It's fairly low in off-gassing compared to what I was expecting. I'm going to smell it. It's also going down fairly well. I think I've had it for a week or maybe a little more than a week. And, the sample wasn't brand new, but when they store them, they stack them up on themselves, right? So they're not off-gassing well, and I've had them all laid out, not stacked up, how I've been storing them for a week or so. So that's pretty good, although this bamboo still doesn't do well with high humidity. It doesn't do well with really dry climates. It can really warp or crack, and it doesn't do well with water, a big spill or a flood. That's going to be ruined, and that is one benefit of the vinyl is, even with a flood, if you can pull that up fast enough, you're going to save the flooring and okay, not this one maybe. Oh yeah, maybe this one even, and put it back. Right, so if your washing machine flooded, you may be able to pull that up and put it back. So this is the one that is new to the website. This is the Woodwise. What's really unique and interesting about this one is the top. It is a plastic. It's a PET though, so it's not a vinyl top. It's polyethylene. And that is, I don't think I've seen it before. So that's a plastic that's much safer for most sensitive people. I'd say it's objectively safer and it's more tolerable for most people. So that's really interesting. But it does have, there's two different kinds. I'm just looking, I was trying to look at a close-up there. It is cork all the way through, it looks like, although there's a different type of cork in the middle. I believe that is cork all the way through, certainly cork on the bottom, and so it is quite strong. It's that cork smell that I really dislike. It also mixes in with the natural smell of cork, which I don't think I'm sensitive to at all, but that distinctive cork smell is the mix of the cork and what I believe is likely the polyurethane glues. So although this product's kind of cool and unique, I'm not really seeing the benefit of this over just a typical laminate. I talked about laminates, and I have to say the Home Depot brand beats out a lot of these specialty floors, if you don't mind that, you know, fake, quote, fake wood look, fake plastic-like topping. I mean, this might be more durable than some laminates, but you know, because it's a thicker plastic layer, but I'm not sure any major benefits over using the Home Depot laminate flooring, which I found to be really quite good. This one, all right, this one is the Cali Bamboo. They do call it one of their cork floorings, which I find quite confusing. I don't consider this a cork flooring in the way that I would categorize floors. And when people email me asking me about cork flooring and sometimes include this, I get quite confused, but I understand because they're advertising it like that. But the top being a printed image, pretty much just like a laminate flooring from Home Depot, which has that printed wood image, and that part's usually not toxic, or at least, you know, extraordinarily minimal. And most people, the top is not the component that's difficult. It's what's in the middle, and that, you know, that does get blocked somewhat when you click them together. Obviously they lock together here, but it's not an airtight seal, but it does improve you know, the air quality, because you cannot smell it as much, the off-gassing. You know, for example, when you put your nose up to this side on any flooring and you put your nose up to this side, you often get a very, very different type of odor and experience. So, all right, so this has again, like a printed top. They call it ceramic layers on the top, and then cork, HDF cork. So again, the HDF, you know, not made with formaldehyde anymore, or not usually, and the cork, the same off-gassing smell that I smell from all cork. So they're using a very similar, if not the same, type of glue in almost all the corks I've seen. I have seen some that are better than others, and I do have a Facebook post that's just on cork flooring. And to me, when I say cork flooring, the top looks like cork. And it doesn't look exactly like this because it's finished a little more, has a little more finishing on it, and it, you know, it looks more pressed. So this is a little bit rougher. This is the underlayment. This is when cork is used as the underlayment. But the cork flooring to me should be cork on the top, because otherwise they're just using cork as an underlayment for cushioning, sound absorption and things like that, which is great, but to me, I'm not seeing the difference here I'm not seeing why you would choose this again over a Home Depot brand laminate with the HDF. Probably very similar. I can't say that it's the same, but and that printed top, if you don't mind the printed top. It's turning into an infomercial for Home Depot, because some of these specialty stores don't sell some of the more basic products, and that's always been something I've pointed out about them, is they don't sell the most basic tiles, they don't sell the most basic grout. Maybe they do in person if you are able to have a green building store that's you know, brick and mortar, but on the online stores often don't sell the most basic products, the most basic shellacs as a sealer, wood, real wood flooring, because you can get real wood flooring anywhere, tiles, etc. So this is the Cali Bamboo Geowood. And what is really cool about the Cali Bamboo product, the whole series that has the limestone backing, I really like that. It's a really solid backing. It gets rid of any of the off-gassing from what might be otherwise in there, which could be, you know, the HDF or the cork backing or any other kind of pressed wood backing that's usually in the engineered floors. This is really quite different. This is a limestone. You can maybe see how heavy this is just by that sound there. Hopefully you can kind of see the feel of it. And this has there's a bit of an underlayment here. I was told it has some silver. It might have some silver in that. The top coat is the aluminum oxide, but it does have real wood, and then it does have a stain. So this has more off-gassing than Andy was telling me at Green Design Center. Some people can usually, at least off-gassing in terms of what can be picked up by an odor. This one actually has more than the Cali Bamboo vinyl. The Cali Bamboo vinyl is the only vinyl that I don't have here, and the only one of the only floorings I don't have here, but I've tested it before and I thought it was really great. It's still one of my top choices of their vinyl, and so I think this limestone backing is a really good idea for flooring. And you reduce the wood amount. You do have a good amount of wood there. You can see kind of how thick it is, but I'm gonna smell it again. I can pick up the off-gassing. There's another challenge here though, in that it seems to have picked up the off-gassing of the cork from where it was stored. So another thing, yeah, when you're checking for samples, you know, one thing is how old are they? Because they may have off-gassed, although it depends how they're stored. If this was just, this should have just really been stacked on top of itself, but then it came in the box with all the cork, the ones that have cork. And maybe it was in a room with all the ones that have cork. I'm not sure. So you want to, that's why, it can be a good idea to compare different ones. Sometimes you can order a sample. I think in the past Cali Bamboo is sending samples directly from them as well. And I mean, Green Design Center is a good place to buy it. But make sure, check on where it was stored. And I'm having a hard time analyzing this product because of possibly picking up other smells. The aluminum oxide finish can block in some of the odors, like of the stain, but I'm gonna smell it one more time. I did have I did pick up the off-gassing. I remember quite clearly when it first got here that I thought was the stain. And now maybe because I had these stacked up, not even for very long. I mostly had these all laid out and airing out. So now I'm picking up more of that cork, unfortunately. So that's another thing to be cautious of when you're testing things. You know, and if you go into Home Depot to get samples, just kind of see where they're pulling it from. They'll often pull a new sample from a box in many cases, but and like I said, you could get the sample right from Cali Bamboo just to compare. You can always try and ask them for one that's more recent. So I don't have the Cares flooring here, which is still my top, I'd say it's still my top engineered wood. Although this is interesting, and it did seem like the top was higher off-gassing than Care's, although I don't have them side by side, exactly the same age and all those perfect conditions. But that's just a brief overview of some new flooring, so I'll make sure I'll add them to the post. I'm going to put the bamboo under a little bit of stress, put under some testing with some moisture, because as solid as this really looks, you know, I'm still being told that, you know, this really can still crack and warp, and that is what bamboo is known for. So I want to see, I mean, it's looking still really great in this high heat with low humidity. And that's it for now. Thanks.